Hey, everybody, and welcome back to For the Booze.
For the Booze. And we are back with another week.
Hey.
You like my hat?
I do like your hat.
I'm wearing the hat because of what we're going to be talking about today.
Oh.
I'm not going to keep it on, though. I need to flip the headphones around. But we have a very interesting story this week.
Oh.
I kind of just came across it. I actually didn't think we knew what it was until I looked into it. Turns out we do know what it is.
Oh.
It's something. Well, at least it's something that we've seen.
Okay.
And it's not too far from here because we're gonna travel to the Old West.
Yes.
We're literally gonna talk about an old ghost town that revolves around the Vulture gold mine. So this is Vulture City Ghost Town and Gold Mine. The way the show is going to go basically is the history is going to almost exclusively revolve around the gold mine.
Okay.
Because without the gold mine,
there would be
no town.
Nothing, right?
But as we get into the later portion of the show, there's going to be more of an emphasis on the town because that is where the majority of today's paranormal stuff takes place.
Okay.
There's brothels, there's bars, there's a bank, I think, but there's just a lot of stuff that seems to happen in this place that has been long forgotten.
Wow. I'm excited.
This is, unfortunately, though, this is another place that has a tie to the greatest paranormal investigator of all time, Zach Baggins.
Hey.
But anyways, let's get into I'm gonna change my hat though.
Okay.
I gotta change the hat. I had to change the hat real quick.
But
let's get into this one. This is honestly a very interesting story about how a town came to be.
Okay.
Now, the Wickenburg area, along with much of the Southwest, became part of the United States by the 1848 treaty that ended the Mexican-American War. The first extensive survey was conducted by Gila Rangers, I'm not sure, who were pursuing natives who had raided the Butterfield Overland Mail Route and attacked miners at Gila City. Before motorized transportation made its way to Arizona, Wickenburg was a transportation hub for goods moving between Phoenix, Flagstaff, and California. I'm going to do my best to pronounce this.
I see it. Good luck.
The Hassayampa River played an important role in the transportation route. Today, the portion of the river located in Wickenburg has been turned into a nature conservancy to preserve its historical importance.
Wow, that's really cool.
This is a very interesting river.
Okay.
For a sizable portion of this river flows underground.
No way.
And it opens up into an area at a preserve.
That's super cool. That's really neat.
The town looks like it doesn't have water, but it does.
Wow.
It's very weird.
That's interesting. Wow. I wonder how that just developed naturally. How does that happen? That's crazy.
Long before man came around.
Very true.
In the late 1800s, Wickenburg was a boom town, reveling in silver, copper, and gold. Now, its residents, perhaps in excess enthusiasm, exaggerated the potential of wealth in the area to the point that it became common in the West to call any teller of tall tales a Hassayamper, in honor of the river that flows through the area. So if I was like, yo, you're a Hassayamper, that's a long way.
Yeah, that
I could just say you're a liar.
So much easier.
It is, man. That is
so much easier.
Such a long way around.
I know.
The name Hassayampa comes from the Yavapai native word Hayasamo, meaning following the water as far as it goes. Now, the Apache referred to it as the, quote, upside-down river because it flows underground most of the way. It comes above ground amid the towering cottonwoods at the Hassayampa River Preserve, as well as other places throughout town, so it kind of dips in and out.
Yeah.
There are still relics around the area that stand as a tribute to these early adventures, as well as a walking tour around Vulture City, which is adjacent to the present-day Vulture Mine. Ranchers and farmers discovered the fertile floodplain of the Hassayampa River and settled in the area. Together with Henry Wickenburg and the miners, they helped found the young community of Wickenburg in 1863, and the town of Wickenburg was incorporated in 1909.
Wow.
Now, it was a rough start for the town, who was at war with the Native Americans. They also experienced many mine closures, desperados, droughts, and a disastrous flood in 1890 when the Walnut Creek Dam burst.
That's dangerous.
A lot of bad stuff happened here. Now, despite these trials and tribulations, the town continued to grow, and in 1895, the railroad arrived in Wickenburg. The historic depot still stands today as the Wickenburg Chamber of Commerce building.
Wow.
It's still there.
Wow.
This town looks like a ghost town. I mean, it's just
super cool, actually, because, you know, like things that were built way, way, way back then, most of that stuff has been redone, removed, or whatever. But like to actually have it being used, and for like the Chamber of Commerce too, that's, I don't know.
This town,
I think that's very interesting.
You got to think of this almost like a theme park at this point. It's not like there's not rides or anything like that. But what I mean is it's more of a tourist destination with old buildings. But these buildings are preserved in a way that some of them still have, like, we'll call them appliances of the time in there. So you'll have like these old rusted like cast iron stoves and stuff like that.
Right.
It's honestly mind blowing. I would love to see something like this because this is what I'm always looking for when we go, looking for ghost towns.
Yeah.
But we can't ever find them in this kind of condition.
We can't. We can barely find them with a building or two together.
There is one house, though. Near us.
We're still looking.
Yeah. Wickenburg is the oldest town north of Tucson and the 5th oldest in the state. In its heyday, Wickenburg was the 3rd largest town in Arizona. In 1866, it missed becoming the territorial capital by only 2 votes. Located at the corner of US 60 or Wickenburg Way and Tegner Street sits a 200-year-old mesquite tree that served as the town jail from 1863 to 1890. Outlaws would be chained to the tree to prevent their escape.
Wow. That's
crazy.
That's not cool.
Now, the Vulture mine near Wickenburg, Arizona, could be the focal point in modern shows like one of our favorites, Yellowstone.
We love that show.
That's why I wore the hat.
Yay.
Now, stories of ghosts, men, and animals lost in the, quote, glory hole, Native American attacks, bullion robberies, gold fortunes, lost veins, and personalities as grand and sweeping as the desert winds are part of Arizona history. After President Polk formally announced that the rumors of rich gold strikes in California were real, a grand exodus from the East Coast and Europe began with the destination being California's gold fields. Henry Wickenburg, a Prussian by birth, that's Germany. I don't know if you knew that.
I did.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Is first noted in some of the mother lode gold towns around 1852. Probably too late to get in on the easy early placer locations. So he arrived during the later part of the gold rush.
Okay.
And he
kind of rode the coattails there at the end?
He did, but unfortunately that meant that a lot of the easier access gold for mining had already been taken.
Right. So it's a lot harder to find.
A lot harder, yeah.
Like it is now when people go gold mining.
Yeah. I mean, you can't gold mine now unless you've got serious money to begin with.
Yeah, or you know exactly where you need to go and where it was like super concentrated. And most of the people back then that did gold mining, they didn't share that.
Well, a big problem too now is that a lot of the places that you would think would be places to go because they were places to go back then
are not now.
They're tapped out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's nothing left. There was no Phoenix, no Flagstaff, or Prescott. And most of the population was Mexican, and most were in Tucson. Now, native tribes abounded with the notorious Apaches, creating the most fear in pioneers. There was a fierce battle between pioneers and Apaches.
Wow.
Now, roads were basically non-existent. As the easiest of gold gathering in California began to play out, miners gradually moved towards Southern California. Then through Yuma and up the Colorado or into Arizona, still in search of gold. These people, I cannot express how hard of a voyage these people had to try to find something.
Oh, I am sure.
Like
awful.
It would be like if there was nothing here where we are right now, and people trying to just go up and down all these mountains on foot and wagon.
There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
Only they're in Arizona desert.
Like, we are already 4,500 feet up, and the mountains around us are a good, I don't know what.
Well, probably, I think the one over here is 8,000.
8,000. Yeah, so there's no way. There's absolutely no way.
But...
And I mean, in this town specifically, so you saying that, like, we're almost completely surrounded.
We are. And then once you get out of here, there's desert.
Yeah.
All around us.
Yep.
So.
Ugh, that would be rough.
It's
so rough.
It was a hard life. Henry Wickenburg was to sign on with an expedition founded by A.H. Peoples and led by an old Southwest scout, Paulina Weaver. Paulina is a man, by the way.
Oh.
I don't know if it's supposed to be Paulina. It looks like Paulina to me.
It definitely looks like Paulina, but I mean, whatever.
Well, it was like Pleasant. Pleasant.
Was
in
yeah,
our story last week,
man.
and that was a man. I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Now, the group of about 30 crossed the Colorado River into Arizona territory in the spring of 1863 and headed east, prospecting as they went. At what is known as Rick Hill in central Arizona, they found nuggets, flakes, and pieces of gold that could be dug out with spoons, knives, and then picked up with their hands. But the surface gold was soon depleted, and while some remained to dry wash, others moved on to Prescott in the Walker Mining District. So they would mine it to completion. Mm-hmm. Henry Wickenburg and two companions, Isaac Van Biber and Theodore Green, also known as Rusk, took advice from an early pioneer, King Woolsey, who was in the area. Woolsey suggested they travel to the Harquahala Mountains, where a decent gold strike had been made. So somebody kind of gave them a lead to the Harquahala. I think I'm saying that
I think
right.
you are too.
And then they just said, no, everybody was going somewhere else, so they went there.
Right.
The three reached the Harquahalas, but came up empty.
Aw.
Now, on their return trip, they noticed a conspicuous quartz outcropping, but continued back to camp along the Hassayampa River near present-day Wickenburg. In November of 1863, the three put up a location notice but failed to do much more, and Wickenburg remained camped along the river while Green, having samples of the gold quartz, left for Tucson, and Van Bibers set off for California to obtain financing and supplies, and that's also where he lived, so he went there.
Okay.
In May of 1864, Henry Wickenburg and 4 different men went back to the claim and officially filed on it, and at the same time organized the Vulture Mining District, with Wickenburg as president and James A. Moore, a businessman, as recording secretary. Now, first work on the Vulture was by pick and shovel and basically amounted to quarrying the exposed gold quartz.
That sounds awful.
It sounds hard.
It sounds like such hard work. God.
It sounds hard. I wouldn't want to do that.
No, like we do just a tiny bit of like picking and chipping and chiseling when we go rock hunting.
It's terrible.
And it's really hard. I could only imagine like.
It took me 30 minutes to chip off a piece this big.
I know.
And it about killed me.
Oh, man.
Now, early estimates from unofficial records indicate 20 troy ounce per ton gold. I had to look this up, but I think that's roughly 1 pound of gold per ton.
What?
Yeah, I had to do a conversion thing.
But
it's not exact, but it's about for every ton that they broke up, they would get about a pound of gold.
Okay, well, a pound of gold.
It's a lot.
Is so much.
Well,
my God.
Just wait.
Oh, okay.
Now, later in litigation filed under Murray versus Wickenburg and Associates, Murray and Roberts had bought from Green what they felt was his 1/3 share. Henry Wickenburg claimed that the Vulture was yielding $700 a day in
Back
the
then.
1800s.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Okay, gold prices in the 1860s ranged from $20 to $47 an ounce.
I know you podcasting can't see, or listening on podcast can't see my face, but my mouth was just wide open.
Everybody else will get to see it because I'll probably zoom in on it.
$20 to $47 an ounce.
And they're pulling
a pound per ton.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Now, the claim was heard by Judge Joseph Allen, who found in favor of the Wickenburg group. Now, Ewing Van Biber was later paid $10,000 to quit claim by subsequent new owners. So he took $10,000. Wait till we get to the end and I tell you how much was pulled out of this mine.
Oh, my. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready.
It's an astronomical amount for especially the time.
Wow. Wow.
Despite the prosperous find, problems did arise. Distance from water for mining and milling, lack of knowledge of even simple arrastra. Arrastras are machinery that crush rock.
Okay.
And mercury recovery, transportation shortcomings, natives, lack of gold labor, theft, and lack of mining and milling know-how plagued the mine from the very beginning.
I'm sure, because they just kind of plopped down there and were like, okay, let's try.
They didn't really know what they were doing.
Right.
So these were, they were green. They were very green going into this, and it showed. However, it just may pay off.
Did they go from green to gold?
It's quite possible. Good one. I like that.
Oh, thanks.
Might name the video that. Now, Wickenburg began selling ore for $15 a ton plus a royalty for anyone willing to do the labor. Once word was out in the area, it was trampled by prospectors looking for another vulture. Claims like the dinosaur, turkey buzzard, Apache, Harriet's Wall, and the Whopper were all recorded within 6 months, but none ever proved productive.
Oh.
So other people tried to come in and capitalize on this, but it seems like the Vulture was a standalone. It's like it shouldn't have been there, but it was there. So they really got lucky when they came across this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, like we said earlier, like they just kind of stumbled.
They did.
On this.
No, they definitely stumbled because I don't
100% capitalized.
They weren't trying to stop here.
Mm-hmm.
They just happened to notice a quartz vein and dug into it and found gold.
Yeah. Wow.
Within 2 years of discovery, Henry Wickenburg and the other claimants sold most of their original footage in the Vulture Mining Company. In the 1880s, it was decided to build a 15-mile, 6-inch pipeline from the Hassayampa River to the mine site. So Henry sold.
Mm-hmm.
After he had already pulled out about $30 million worth.
That is so much money back then.
There was so much to the story that I took that out, but I kept it in here for you guys.
Good job.
He ended up making about $30 million, which is just a fraction of what would eventually come out of this.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's insane.
Once water was available, a small town by the name of Vulture City grew and developed. In 1890, the disastrous Walnut Grove Dam collapsed, flooded the river, and destroyed much of the pipeline, and it was never repaired. Now, electricity came to the Vulture in the early 1900s, but until 1913, when their first truck was purchased, horses and wagons for both mine and personal transport were used. I feel we think it's hard, but no matter how hard you try, you think of it in terms of modern.
Right. I mean,
imagine doing all this with a horse and wagon.
I don't want to. I don't even want to imagine it.
It's backbreaking.
It's such a hard life. In comparison to them, I guess it was normal.
It's bad. It is no. It's not. No.
But like the horse, the buggy part of it, you know what I mean, is what I'm talking about.
Maybe.
But, I mean, chiseling away at rock and quartz, that's definitely hard.
By hand, yeah.
Oh my God.
Miners and a few families began to settle at Vulture City, and a schoolhouse with 2 school marms opened and operated from 1908 to 1915. Mexican miners made up the bulk of the workforce and were forced to receive lower pay than whites doing the same work, and their housing was segregated. The town of Wickenburg also had strict rules regarding black workers, Mexican workers, Jewish workers, and basically any other nationalities.
Rude?
It's not uncommon at the time.
I mean, I know, but rude.
It's still not uncommon at the time. It was like that basically everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Vulture mine often went through long periods of shutdowns, startups, leases, and exploration activities. Faulting, mismanagement, Low gold price and high overhead accounted for much of the downtime. And at least twice, the property was sold for back taxes at sheriff's auctions. Now, while some underground mining continued, the veins of profitable gold thinned, and the lode was lost for the final time in 1916. Numerous attempts to find extensions were unproductive. The last try was carried out in 1931 by rawhide Jimmy Douglas. After much conjecture and drilling, Douglas put down a 500-foot shaft that was to intersect the faulted lost lode, but it was a waste of money. He found nothing.
Wow.
So you think it was only maybe 40 years of mining from this mine?
Yeah.
And then it was just gone.
40 years is a long time, but
not when you think about it in terms like these, right? Because there's mining companies around today, and they'll just keep mining and finding what they're looking for. I don't know how they do it, but I'm sure there's some, I don't know. There's got to be some way they do it. Radars, I don't know. I'm stupid. But
no, you're not.
Back then they didn't have all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So they're basically just dig a hole there and see if there's anything down there.
Right. Can you dig any further?
So if you lose a vein, like, you're screwed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're just kind of
it's lost.
Looking in the dark, basically, if you lose that.
I mean, literally.
Yeah.
Because you're in a hole.
You're in a hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shortly before World War II, Ernest Dickey and John C. Lincoln held the Vulture. Now, it's stated that the Vulture closed in 1942, never to reopen again, but that's incorrect.
Oh.
The Vulture had obtained an exemption to mine during the war years, and state mining records indicate that as late as 1944, the Vulture was producing lead, minor copper, and gold. One article I found had that information. I dig. I'm telling you.
I know you do.
Now, from 1945 until 1959, the mine was idle or in limited production. At the height of the Soviet nuclear threat, civil defense authorities considered using the mine to store emergency supplies in case of an attack.
Wow. So I wasn't going to say anything, but I wanted to. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's just, it's weird. What are they going to do? Shove stuff in? Just shove it into the ground?
That's all they have is holes. I mean,
but these aren't they're not just holes. Like, these are tunnels.
It's crazy.
Think about mines that you've seen on shows and stuff. Like, these things, they go. Mm-hmm. Now, during the early 1960s, Dr. George Mangun, what a cool name.
George
Mangun. I'm George Mangun, and I run this town. I feel like I should have kept my hat on for that. So Mangun bought the property with the idea of building a desert science center devoted to research, but there's no record of any activity. L. Wayne Beale owned the property from 1970 until 2011, when it was bought by the current owner, Vulture Peak Gold, LLC. Now, currently, the Vulture property is divided between a group still attempting to extract some gold values and Vulture City Ghost Town, which is an interesting tourist venue with exhibits and many buildings replicating the time that once was.
Wow.
Now, for this show, I felt the need to find out how much money was pulled from this mine, and I'm sure you're wondering.
I 100% am wondering.
In the 1800s money, $200 million worth of gold was pulled from this mine.
What?
$200 million.
I'm
not sure what that breaks down to if we convert that to modern day. I'm sure that every person who ever picked up a pickaxe at that place was set for life.
100%. Oh my God. That's not what I was thinking.
That amount of money is insane.
That's so much money. Oh my God.
So
what a story.
We still have a lot of ghost stories to get to. Mm-hmm. And there's quite a few here. Because if you know what this place is, you know. So before we do that, though, we're going to take a break.
And now, Booze Crew, back to the episode.
While Arizona conjures images of dusty landscapes speckled with prickly, statuesque cactus, which was actually a different word, but I didn't know how to pronounce it, so I changed it to cactus. But they're the big ones with the arms.
Okay.
Rolling tumbleweeds and blazing sun. And though the state is technically still quite young, founded just over a century ago, passers through still associate it with the gunslinging showdowns and the gold rush days of the Wild West.
I'm sure.
That's what I think of.
I feel like the area, and if anything was ever like the Wild West, that it just kind of stays that, you know? I feel like
as
it
cool
should.
as that would be, yeah.
I feel like it should, for sure. And do the big-armed cactuses have another name?
Yeah, no, they have like an actual name. I can't, they're like Saraquata or something like that.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're desert cactus. I couldn't pronounce it, all right? It happens every once in a while.
The ones that look like this?
I married her. Yeah.
You did.
Now, it's one reason why famous ghost towns like Tombstone and Goldfield bring in such huge crowds day after day. But what many tourists don't realize is that Arizona's most profitable mining town, Vulture City, isn't too far from either of them, and it arguably offers a more authentic glimpse into what these gold rush towns what they actually looked like. Vulture Gold Mine is credited with founding the nearby town of Wickenburg, and the agricultural area that sprouted to serve the mines also helped spur growth in Phoenix. Miners flocked to the area, obviously in hopes of getting rich. And in the spirit of the Old West, the Vulture was obviously a rough place.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a mining town in the desert.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Miners often died in cave-ins, while dozens were allegedly hung from the infamous hanging tree when they were caught stealing gold. And I believe that's the same tree that they were, like, chained to.
Chained to? Oh, my.
So you would be chained to it while bodies hung.
Oh, God. No. No.
This is brutal, man.
Ooh. No, thanks.
We shouldn't do it again, but it's kind of cool.
Stop.
It's kind of cool.
Stop it.
I watch shows like this. It's
I mean,
neat.
I know, me too, but...
Now, there were many gruesome tales of rapes, murders, and freak accidents in the mines and surrounding towns, which left a haunted legacy in the now abandoned ghost town. These are the things that I just assumed went down there. Mm-hmm. You have to, right?
Like, you hear a Wild West town in the middle of the desert in, like, the 1800s and up.
You're a girl, right?
I
Let me ask you.
I hope so.
What would you think if, like, we lived back then and I was like, we're going to go to Vulture City?
No, thanks. I'll stay home.
Like, they had to have known, at least at the time, like, this was going to be a rough place.
So bad. Are you kidding me?
Not the place you want to bring your wife and kids.
No.
The day-to-day grind inside the mines was tough. It was dark, dusty, and dangerous. Now, there were plenty of fights, and the feuds allowed the miners back into town. Once the mines closed, the miners went back to Vulture City to ease up for the next day. And when the saloons and brothels filled up, you'd get the exact kind of rowdiness the Wild West is known for. Shootouts, murders, and rapes were common in Vulture City.
Yep. Wild West town back in the 1800s. I would expect nothing less.
Yeah. It's living up to the Wild West.
Yeah, for sure.
Which makes me wonder how come it's not a more well-known of the gunslinging towns.
Right.
Because you know outlaws went through here.
Yeah, oh, of course.
Now, thieves also ran amok in the mines. High grading was common. Some estimates say that up to half the ore mined from Vulture was stolen by high graders. What high grading is where you're only turning in high-grade gold after you've been in the mines and you're pocketing the rest. Oh, so you're taking that gold and selling it yourself, and you're making probably more than you're making for the work you're doing.
Right.
Though everybody stole from the mine, stealing was punishable by death. The town never had an official lawman, so punishment was dished out vigilante style. The hanging tree was just outside of Henry Wickenburg's old home and was used to hang the high graders who were caught. The assay building was where the gold was inspected and appraised. It's also where they stored the gold. The building was the scene of quite a few shootouts as rogue miners attempted to rob the precious gold bullion under the building.
Yeah,
They were digging under the building.
What?
They were trying to tunnel in.
Wow. I mean, would you expect anything less?
No. No, I mean, it's an old West town. I just feel like these are the things that they should have known were going to happen.
Right. Just expect it.
Yeah. Now, it was successfully robbed twice. On one occasion, 3 bandits stormed the assay building, killed the guard, and took off into the desert. When the guards from the mine caught up, they found out nothing was stolen, much to the surprise of both bandits and the guards. So they got away with nothing.
What? Did they get caught?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The guards caught up.
Didn't steal anything.
But they did kill a guard.
I mean, yeah, but
I think the way it worked is like raw gold. It doesn't look like your normal, like what normal people would think of as gold.
Like you think a little nugget of gold would be.
Yeah,
right.
A lot of it will look like rocks.
Yeah.
You know, so they're probably just in there filling their pockets. And I think what they did was they made away with stones.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah, because
all that for nothing.
It does suck because they were killed on the spot. And after the guards carried them into town, the locals protested the burials of criminals in the city. So they were taken back out to the desert and buried.
Oh.
They wouldn't even, man. Now, one of the most known ghosts is the spirit of Jimmy Davis. Jimmy was said to be a hardworking man, well known amongst his colleagues for getting the job done and doing it right. One day, while Jimmy was working the mines, the pulley system malfunctioned. Now, Jimmy got up on a ladder to fix the belt when his arm got stuck in the loop of the pulley. Now, the belt tightened when he tried to get out, and Jimmy was launched several feet in the air with his arm still stuck in the loop.
Oh, wow.
His body smashed into multiple pieces of heavy machinery, breaking literally every bone in the man's body, before dumping his body hundreds of feet down into the central mine shaft. Now, the worst part was that Jimmy wasn't killed right away. It took 5 hours for Jimmy to die. They say he cried and begged for mercy, but it was no use. His body was destroyed beyond belief. There was
that poor man.
There was no saving Jimmy.
That poor man. Somebody could have like shot him or something. I mean, I know he fell really far, but like shoot and try at least.
You don't know. You know, like you don't really know.
God. That's terrifying.
It's easy now for us to read a story and be like, well, they could have shot him.
Nah, I know.
But in reality, you know, they're looking at him like, well, what if he makes it? What if it's not as bad as it looks?
I'm sure it looked pretty bad.
Yeah, probably did.
I'm just saying.
Probably look at ground hamburger meat.
Oh my God. Ew.
Legend says Jimmy's ghost still lives in the mine shafts. I bet it does. Don't doubt it. His blood-curdling screams can still be heard echoing through the mine, though some have heard cries for help in other parts of Vulture City grounds.
Yep, I bet they still hear that. And I bet he is still there. 100%. That is such a traumatic death. That is so bad.
It's pretty bad.
Oh,
it's pretty bad. God. Others claim to hear the pulley machine whipping around as if it were malfunctioning. It's like the machine has to mock him in the afterlife, too.
Oh.
Paranormal investigators claim to have discovered Jimmy's spirit hanging around the mine's powerhouse, and there are reports his ghost has been seen at the entrance to the mine on multiple occasions. Now, the ghosts of the high graders who were punished by death are still allegedly seen around the mines, too. The hanging tree is said to have been the burial site of dozens of men who were condemned after being caught red-handed. 18 men were hung from the hanging tree, but it's not known if they were all buried there. Either way, many tourists claim to have been harassed by the ghost of the dead thieves.
Wow.
Now, tourists claims to have had rocks thrown at them while near the hanging tree. They also hear footsteps scurrying around them in the area, and some have heard strange voices call them by name. Which, now that I think about it, it's kind of weird. How do they know your name? Local legends say a group of thieves killed in a freak accident also haunt Vulture City, a particularly prosperous area near the head of the mine called, yes, go ahead and get ready to giggle, it's called the Glory Hole.
I saw it and I was like, I'm not going to laugh, and then you read it.
You know, they say men aren't very mature.
It's called a glory hole.
It was the site of much high grading once the majority of the ore was dug out. The miners would come around sunset and dig out the remaining ore near the support beam. And after a while, there was no rock to support the beams. And your favorite glory hole collapsed, trapping and killing 7 men and 12 donkeys.
Those poor donkeys. Oh, man.
I just want to try something. Glory hole.
Stop.
She's a child. Now, the bodies are believed to still be trapped in there today, and their ghosts haunt the former glory hole. I wish I wouldn't have written glory hole so many times now.
So many.
The apparitions have been seen around the head of the mine, and witnesses report unusual cold spots and feelings of being watched. How do we know it's not Jimmy?
This is true. This is true.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I would like to know how they are determining, who's who.
Who? Right.
Now, the Vulture's Roost is known for its elusive inhabitants and mysterious apparitions, accompanied by the eerie phenomena of phantom phone rings and haunting piano melodies. That's the saloon. There's a haunted doll, Dolly. She's a porcelain doll, said to be under the ownership of the child spirit named Izzy. Now, Dolly, I hate dolls, by the way.
Yeah, me too. But I'm pretty sure I remember the doll
you do.
From the Ghost Adventures episode.
Dolls for me are clowns for you. I hate dolls.
I hate clowns.
Now, Dolly is notorious for her uncanny movements, musical interludes, and temperature spikes of up to 15 degrees, and a consistent high level of energy metering. Libby, a larger doll with a decade-long residency in the brothel, is inhabited by an adult female spirit. Libby allegedly displays energy surges, movement, and communicates through investigative equipment. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm assuming EVPs, EMF, anything.
Right. Any kind of trackable equipment, I guess, is what she's setting off, kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, there are also baby shoes, once housed in the doctor's office, that emit remarkably high EMF readings, with captured photos showcasing streaks of energy and the formation of energy clouds around them. Could be dust or in the desert. I'm just saying, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm very weary of calling it paranormal.
Like, you mean like the clouds and stuff like that?
The light streaks, because cameras do weird things.
Yeah, agreed. And so does the weather.
Well, and you're in the desert, so
and your surroundings.
Honestly, I wasn't joking when I said that. They're talking energy clouds. I mean, they could literally be dust clouds.
Yeah.
Oh, you are in the desert. Now, the blacksmith shop is believed to be overseen by an enigmatic presence, and anyone lingering beyond the acceptable duration may be subjected to a loud banging. Incidents of thunderous banging have been reported for those who decided to hang out too long. And it's believed that this is an intelligent spirit.
Wow.
So don't hang out. He'll bang, I guess.
I mean, not that creepy, but
weird.
Still.
More weird.
Yeah.
The Wells Fargo post office has gained an eerie reputation due to the window facing the mine shaft. Numerous accounts, sightings, and captured photos depict a ghostly apparition outside the structure. People visiting claim to have seen a spirit at the mine's opening. But again, so many have been said to be seen there. And how do we know who they are?
Right. So many people were either killed by being a criminal or whatever. And then there's the cowboy shootouts in the street.
Maybe they just spent too long in the glory hole.
Probably.
I'll be here all week. Now, the brothel hosts a community of playfully flirtatious spectral women engaging in activities such as object manipulation, levitation, and door slamming. They exhibit a penchant for the sound of music and laughter, creating an atmosphere of ethereal revelry. Even Demi Lovato claims to have had an experience here.
That is so random.
It was in the
Okay.
What do you want me to do?
All right, Demi.
And look, I even wrote, and of course, everyone's favorite investigators, Ghost Adventures, have been here. But what do everyday people have to say about this seemingly haunted location? Do you want to read some reviews that I found?
I would love to.
Well, here, I'm going to pass this to you. It's not a glory hole, it's just a mouse. And read us, because some of these stories are, they're all interesting, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But some of them, just read them. You'll like them.
Okay. On TripAdvisor.com, Backs the Pack in July 2015 wrote, "We arrived at 8 a.m., opening time. We were the only ones visiting at this time. When we arrived, we were greeted by a very friendly, nice man. He gave us some history, answered some questions, and sent us on our adventure. When we arrived, my camera died. Brand new batteries. I went through 6 batteries before I gave up for a while. He said this happens often, and that some say that ghosts drain batteries to get energy.
Obviously.
Once we left the main building at the front, my camera suddenly started working again. This went on and off around certain buildings. It was very weird. Several times I had heard voices, though I could not quite understand what was being said. There were 5 of us total, and we were all together, so I know I wasn't hearing them. No one else had these experiences, but no one else in our group really believes in this sort of thing either. The buildings are great, left as though people just walked away from them one day and left lots of belongings. Chair frames, bed frames, bottles, etc., just left behind through the decades. Some buildings you cannot walk through as they are really falling down and would be dangerous, but there are plenty that you are allowed to walk through. If you go during the hot months, be sure to bring plenty of water and hit the place early in the morning. I would say a fall visit would be much nicer. Also, wear good shoes. Lots of walking and soft sand in the area. The cost is $10 per person, and they only accept cash, no credit card or debits."
When I hear that, it just looks like everybody up and left. It reminds me of the pictures I saw of Taunton State Hospital underground.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why everything reminds me of that place. Maybe it's just because I used to live across the street from it. But,
yeah, probably.
But that's what it reminds me of. And if you can, we apologize if you can hear in the background, video and podcast, it's raining outside.
It is.
We do our best. But yeah, that's what it reminds me of. And I saw pictures of this place, and they're not lying. Like, these houses look like somebody could have lived in them yesterday.
And they just, like, vanished.
Yeah, I mean, everything's rusted and dusty. And
oh, I'm sure.
You know, houses are, but it just, like, people just up and left. They just disappeared.
That's crazy.
It's just so cool, though.
It is super cool. It is super cool.
You know how much I love this stuff.
I know you do.
Okay. What about, there's another one. And I want to make one statement here. That lady said something about visit during the winter months, and every single review I found came from June or July.
Ew. That's like the worst time to go to the desert.
Terrible. That would be terrible. I'd rather go in, like, January.
Like, we love going in the mountains. We love going rock hunting. We love,
I like it a little less when it's 110
going
degrees
exploring
out.
And all that. But let me just say that it is so much nicer from September on.
Desert heat it hits different.
Oh, man, it does.
Well, like, look, we don't have the humidity that we once had living in Florida, but desert heat does not play.
It's so dry and hot. And
Yes.
it's so different from what we're used to.
You can, like,
I don't know.
feel your skin start to break apart. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
You people born and raised out here, God bless you.
So Ann S. on TripAdvisor.com in July 2019 wrote, "This beautifully renovated gold camp is a must-see for anyone interested in gold mining history. or in haunted locations. It's actually the camp, actually the remains of a city of 5,000, not the mine itself, which is still in operation and does allow visitors. My boyfriend and I first visited a few years ago, and in the stairwell of the SA office going up to the second floor, he got this creepy feeling, but shrugged it off. However, for the rest of the afternoon, he was not himself. He was very paranoid about the people at the table near us when we had lunch in Wickenburg, obsessing that they were weird and something was wrong with them. Luckily, he went to the car to smoke a cigarette, and when he came back, he was pretty much his old self. This last March, we returned to see how they were coming with the renovations, and one of the workers told us that the SA office was haunted by the ghost of a man who was killed in the building by a bullet to the head. The owners are planning to develop the haunted attraction aspect of this location.
Yeah, so they actually had an experience.
Well, obviously he did. Like, if he was, like, not being himself after, it probably freaked him out a lot.
He just sounds like somebody who doesn't like people.
I mean, yeah.
Sounds like me.
I know.
Sounds like me.
I know.
So I don't put too much stock into that part, but I just don't think he likes people, and she doesn't want to admit it. No, Mom and Dad, I swear he's a nice guy.
I swear.
Anyways, there's one more. And of course, it's in June.
What are these people doing? Like,
they're living wrong.
Right.
Got to go in the winter.
Duh. So Linda T. on TripAdvisor.com in June of 2015 wrote, I'll admit to being fascinated by ghosts, and I suspect the special effects techs on TV shows. I have had...
Hold on. I love that she immediately is like, I'm fascinated by ghosts, but she is like very self-aware of the fact that TV is probably fake. I love that.
I mean, it's true.
There's a lot of people who aren't that perceptive when it comes to television. So I love that.
They're very much just like, oh my gosh, did you see that?
It's very refreshing to think that there's other people out there watching and going, there's probably a producer around the corner.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
I have had some experiences that I can't explain, and I don't really want to. But as I toured this ghost town, on the way to the long-closed Vulture gold mine, I was drawn to the old building where gold and silver had been held before shipping. I couldn't stop staring. The guide noticed and suggested that I stay there and catch up later. After a bit of daydreaming, I began to hear iron furniture scraping across an upper floor and faint music from the same place. The guide had said that the building was sealed to everyone, including employees. I didn't speak to the guide, but as I left, he nodded to me and said yes. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
That was... Okay.
So people do claim to hear and see things. I saw some bad reviews, but they weren't bad reviews in a way that it was like they tried to lie to me about it being haunted. It was more like it was hot and miserable, which of course it is. It's the desert.
Yeah.
You know, you're the people that are picking when to go.
Yeah. June and July.
Yeah.
That are really the worst 2 months.
I mean, that's your own fault. But, but people looking for paranormal general, once I saw Ghost Hunter or Ghost Adventures attached to this, my brain will automatically go to it's fake every time because I can't help it.
Right. But that's why we also go online and we find like real people who have been there and shared their experience.
We have to, because that was the only way I could start getting myself past the idea of it automatically being fake because certain people have been there.
Right.
You know, it was a way to kind of counteract the influence that it would have. And it does that. But now that we have heard everything about this place, I do have a question for you. Is it real? And for those of you watching who might be new to the show, that is actually me saying that. I just want to point that out.
It is. And the scream in the beginning, on our
That's
intro. That's me and our oldest son mixed together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the Vulture City ghost town and gold mine? Do you think that they are really haunted?
I think this one's like 50-50 for me. I don't think it's super haunted. I don't think that specific dolls have specific people attached to them and there's specific people who show up. I think that a lot of tragedy happened there. And there's a lot that happened on that land. So there is a possibility that it is haunted. But I don't think that this is a must-see, go-to for paranormal.
Wow.
I know, right? What about you, babe?
Thanks for asking. Then you get around to it eventually. I don't.
Okay.
I'm going to say this will be the very first time I've ever said I don't, but because I do. I think the only reason... but I'm going to explain.
Okay.
I think the only reason people think they see and hear and feel things here is because they're kind of told to. I'm not saying...
Okay.
I think they're being influenced into it.
Gotcha.
Because this was a rowdy town, and it's literally called a ghost town. It's like if you take the innocence of a child, if you will, because we told our son that we were going to take him to a ghost town, and he immediately thought, oh, we're going to go see ghosts.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of influence going into that, but I think they've tried so hard to put these haunted items there that, to me, that says we're trying to make this place haunted.
Right.
We're trying.
Yeah. Like, hello,
so
it's here.
I don't think, maybe some of the items they're bringing in are haunted, but I don't think the town is.
Like the whole town. Okay.
I think it's a really historical place.
Oh, for sure.
That has a significant importance to how towns like Phoenix and the surrounding areas were developed.
Right.
I think that's pretty amazing. But I think as far as paranormal goes, I don't think there's much to speak of.
Okay. That's fair.
Sorry, Arizona.
So
No.
This one does not get the big old seal of approval.
People watching have no idea what that is.
I forgot.
Go back and listen to the podcast.
That's right.
There's a lot of episodes where you'll get to hear that. I might add that back in now. Actually, I might add it into the videos too, but it's not going to be this week. Because we said no. But that
was a good one. I liked that one.
It was different.
It was different.
It was different because for the first time we did a town that is actually, or we did a town.
Yeah.
Which we've never done a town. And two, nobody lives there anymore.
I know. I think it's super cool.
It's a ghost town.
Right? We have been looking for a good ghost town, and we found our first good one. We just didn't go. We just read about it.
It was a good story.
Yeah, super good.
But we said no, so it wasn't a good one. I want the haunted stuff.
I know.
And again, we could be wrong. It could be haunted for all we know.
This is true. This is true.
But where can they find us?
They can find us on Instagram at @forthebooze_podcast and on Facebook at @forthebooze.
You can find us right here on YouTube at For the Booze, on Twitter or X or whatever you children call it now. You can find us basically anywhere. We're on Threads and TikTok and everything else, but we really need 5 stars, rate and review on iTunes especially if you're more of a podcast listener.
That's right.
But even if you're just a watcher of the videos, we take them from you too. We'll read them on the show.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't forget, you can comment, subscribe, and we also have a Patreon if you would like to help in that way. It's under For the Booze, where we do another weekly podcast called Behind the Booze, where it's less of a family friendly, more of kind of like a hangout, where we find some absurd paranormal stories from the internet.
Some crazy, weird,
some of them are really good though.
Ghost stories. Sometimes we don't find the best ones, but it's just it's this little hangout session. It's a lot of fun, and we enjoy doing it.
Yeah, but also if you have a listener suggestion or a place that you would like to hear us talk about and do some research on, or you just want to say, hey, what's up?
That's right.
Yeah, hit us up for the 12@gmail.com.
Sorry, I totally cut you off.
Gotta let me finish.
Sorry. But if anybody has like a ghost story or a paranormal anything, or even if it's not paranormal, just like a weird story that's happened to you, we always love to hear those stories, and we will absolutely read them on the show.
We used to, but people stopped sending them in. So
that's right.
I guess this is where we're going to...
Hold on.
Whoa.
Wait a second.
Yeah, I'm reaching for the button. You can't stop me mid-reach.
I know, I'm sorry.
What's
so
up?
for all the podcast listeners, if you would like to see what I am about to show, you can go over to our YouTube. But I got Stephen and I these shirts during Halloween, and I just wanted to show it off a little bit. It's a ghost, and it says, "I'm here for the booze." Oh, I had to wear it today.
Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
All right, take us out of here. We still got to go do some other videos.
I know. Well, thank you, everybody, so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye. Stay away from the glory hole. Don't fall in.